Hey guys, it's Tim coming at you with a new episode of The Spotlight, the show where I pose an interesting question or just a general interesting idea and have you guys take it from there in the comments. So for this week, this is actually something that I've thought about for a while, both in myself and in other people, and is probably very relevant considering certain events that just happened. And the question is this: can being a fan of something actively hinder you from being able to make an informed decision about it? Now, obviously, being a fan of something means that you are informed about at least the topic, but what I mean by this is, can being a fan alter our decisions on something for the better or for the worst, making us think that something is better or worse than it actually is, just based off of our preconceived notions of what we think it should be, as opposed to what it actually is? And you've probably seen this all the time, largely for the negative, because we live on the internet and that's where negativity spawns from, where people have a they changed it so it sucks kind of mentality. And probably three examples of this that I think probably emphasize this would be the 2009 Star Trek reboot, which fans of the original series didn't like the tonal shift, didn't like the visual style shift, and felt that it didn't reflect what they liked about the original series. However, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad movie, but it still reflected poorly upon it from the fan base. And it's by no means a perfect film, but people who like the original series were very much against even smaller details of it just because it was different, and not necessarily just because of particular flaws. And when something is different, you tend to notice a lot more flaws in something as well. The next example would be shows like Smallville, where for the first several seasons there wasn't a lot directly adapted out of the comic. There were people who were just generally against the idea of having a younger Superman who wasn't Superman yet, and trying to learn how to become Superman over time, and also people didn't like the idea that there were heroes that existed in this world before Superman came to exist. Plus, there were people who generally didn't like the idea of making a CW, or at the time WB, style drama with a teenage version of Clark Kent, feeling that it wasn't true to Superman's character. But over time, the show did gain a fan base. It lasted for 10 years, making it the longest lasting comic book adaptation of all time, and looking back on it, a lot of people look back on it with fondness, even those who didn't initially get grabbed by the concept. And then there's Batman the Brave and the Bold, where there are still people who haven't seen it to this day just because they couldn't handle the idea of Batman being done in a lighter tone. And it's the same with people looking back towards the '66 Batman series as well. But those who have seen Brave and the Bold know that it's well written, it's true to at least a version of the character, and it's a lot of fun to watch if you've just seen it. It's not objectively done poorly. But because of our preconceived notions of what we feel that the show is or the character is and how we want them presented, we look upon them more negatively than we would have if it was something we were going in fresh towards. And the same can be done in the opposite direction, where we view something as being better than it actually is because of us seeing something in it that we like, either it being action or a visual style or a tone that we feel was missing, or just falling into a particular niche. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a lot more lenient on things if they make me laugh, as opposed to just being grimdark or nihilistic. And people feel the opposite way. They feel that if something is taken more seriously, they will like it more, as opposed to if it's treated in a more comedic sense. And there's nothing inherently wrong with using your preconceived notions of something to judge it, because that's how we inform our decisions. But there comes a point where you're only basing your decision based off of what you want something to be, or what you see in something, as opposed to what's actually there, and that's where problems can arise from. But what do you guys think? Do you feel that it's a bad thing that fans use their preconceived notions of something to fully form their decision? Do you feel that there's a good balance? Do you feel that people go overboard? Do you feel that this can be blown out of proportion? Well, let me know in the comments, and until next time, this has been Tim from the Spotlight, signing out.